Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma and today we're meeting in the moon garden. It is the day after a new moon and that means it's an excellent time to transplant, plant, and sow any of our above ground crops or just flowers, shrubs, trees, all those good things are wonderful to do this time of the moon cycle. So today we're going to be planting a vine, a tree, and a shrub. Actually, we're transplanting a shrub. And we're also removing an old lilac tree, shrub. It's a multi-trunked shrub. It's kind of hard to do. I love lilacs. This one was in the garden when we moved here. It smells so beautiful and it's a really beautiful bloom. But when we moved in, it was taller than our house and sporadically blooming. I mean, when we moved in, it was August, so it wasn't blooming, but the next spring. And then I did a hard rejuvenation prune on it. It didn't bloom the following year. And then it bloomed sporadically, but not very well. And then I felt bad because I thought, oh, maybe I pruned it too much, so I left it alone. The following year, it bloomed really well, but it had grown to above the roof line of my house again. So I couldn't actually see or smell any of the blooms unless I cut them out of the shrub and, interacted with them that way. So it's been quite the journey over the last 8 years of trying to figure out a way to size control this shrub so that I can enjoy it and it blooms well, and it just hasn't worked out. There was a lot of rotten old trunks in this shrub, so those got removed. New branches sprouted. Some of them have bloomed, some of them have not. I also have 2 other lilacs that are the exact same variety. They're the same color and smell and all that, just outside of the moon garden. They're kind of tucked away and shaped a little bit different. So even though they're what we refer to as second story blooms, it doesn't bother me as much because those shrubs are kind of like peekaboo sites where I'm like in other parts of the garden and then peeking up through some shrubs. There's these little sparkles of lilac blossoms when they're blooming. And that works great for that application in that space. However, in this space, it is like a huge part of the moon garden and like the main bed. Actually, I think the only in-ground bed in this moon garden is where the lilac shrub is. And it's taking up real estate where I could be planting more beautiful things that perform better and that I can enjoy more. So I'm going to remove it. We'll see how things structurally go, because here's the other thing I'm going to do. I'm going to plant a blue moon wisteria, which I realize is not one of the white wisterias, but it is one that will perform in my climate, which is a very mild, temperate climate on the Oregon coast. And I want to prune it as a standard, so we're going to make this wisteria a tree. And so I have to have something for the vine to grow on until it's strong enough to hold itself. If there is a if there is a lilac trunk that is straight enough in the place that I want my wisteria tree to be, oh my gosh, all the names, I might leave that lilac piece there and let it kind of be this interactive thing. We'll see how it goes once I get everything pruned. And then we're also going to be planting a moon glow juniper, the tree you see right behind me here. And we're actually planting it right on the outside of the moon garden, but again, we'll get that peekaboo view. It's gonna go right here behind that board of where the moon phases are. And then I have a candy corn shrub that needs to be moved. It's a spirea. It's just not performing. It's not happy where it's at. And it's actually has nothing to do with the moon garden, but it is that time of the moon cycle where I can be transplanting things with success. And it's going to go on the bottom of the hill that this moon garden sits on. So I feel like I'm kind of working in this area. I may as well move that shrub. So, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut down the lilac, dig out the root ball, and or as much as we can. And carefully, because we have lamium growing underneath it, we also have 2 hostas and a hellebore growing on the outer edge of the drip line of the lilac. So I'm going to be, you know, careful about how I go about doing that. I have brand new electric pruners, which I've only practiced with a couple of times. They work really fast and they're really powerful. They're a little bit scary to use, but I think it'll be really nice on my hands to use on a project like this where I'm going to be doing a lot of cutting. So we're going to be using these. I also have an electric chainsaw and electric sawzall for some of the larger trunk pieces. We'll see which one works best at the time that I do it. All right, I'm going to turn the camera around. I'll show you the plants that we're going to plant, show you the lilac we're going to cut back or cut out, and dig into the project. I've procrastinated taking out this lilac for months, maybe years. It's time to just do it. So to begin with, the fun things are this Moon Glow juniper, which I found on sale at Walmart for half of the half price. So I ended up paying like $15 for it. And it is a little windswept on one side, but that's okay. We're only going to be seeing it from one side. We're going to plant it kind of where that fern is right now. I'm hoping that I could just move the fern a little bit, like move the fronds, and there will be a space for it. If not, I'll have to dig out the fern, which is no big deal because we have lots of ferns, and move that fern somewhere else. And then the other plant is this Blue Moon Wisteria, which I'll have to decide on which one of these is going to be the tree trunk and remove all the other things. We'll talk about pruning the wisteria into a tree when we get to that step. This is the lilac that's going away, this shrub right here. So a couple of things. One is you'll notice that there's a lot of sun scald on it. And that is also pretty normal for this time of year, but it also starts happening kind of early in the season, and it just looks, you know, it looks sad for a large part of the summer. You can see that we have just, it's very shady in the deep part of this area. And it has all this moss all over the trunks. There's, I don't know if there was 2 here to begin with or if it's just split off, but there's 2 big trunks this way and then multiple trunks up this way, and then all these little pieces in between. So anyway, it's all just gotta go today. But it flowers way up there. And it does not flower down here at all on either side. I'd when we built this deck, I had hoped that I would be able to enjoy the flower blooms, at least from standing on the deck. And by the time it flowers, it's even above, you know, sight, even standing on the deck. So yeah, it's just gonna go. We're gonna do something different. And then underneath it, like I said, we have lambium, we have the chocolate ajuga, we've got this is Twilight hosta and Blue Moon hosta, and this hellebore is Frost Kissed Moon Dance. And it's time to say goodbye. Let's just set this over here for now. If you're new here, you might notice as I was listing off all the names of the plants that we're going to be planting and that we have here, I do my best to to add plants into the moon garden that have a moon related name. It doesn't extend into my annuals because they change up a lot, but with the permanent shrubs and perennials, I really do try to get that moon name in there just because I think it's fun to have a theme garden that is all moon related. The other thing that I'll mention is the property next door to me is building a house. So there's a lot of construction noise going on. So that's what that noise is. It sounds like a generator is going or something. Today, we're not going to be doing much more talking than this. I've talked enough. I'm just going to turn the camera around, turn it on, and you can watch this lilac go away. There it is. I left that one trunk there, and I'll plant the wisteria up against it and train it up this trunk. I'm leaving that one with the roots and leaves, and if it wants to bloom, it can. But that leaves me a big area right here where I can plant some things. And then we're getting over here, we're going to cut back this fern, possibly dig it out. All right, that fern was a bit of a beast. So that whole hillside is held up by tires. So everything that's planted in there ends up rooting through or inside of a tire. And so it's kind of like having planters with those lips, like trying to get up underneath the lip and get the roots out. It's a pain. Anyway, I got it out. Also, the hill's really steep, so you're working in like really weird angles and everything like that. But we got it out, and Spencer put it out in the woods, and more often than not, when we just throw a fern out in the woods, it roots in and establishes itself, and we have a beautiful fern somewhere else in the garden. So not wasted at all. So I'm gonna dig a hole for this juniper so that we could get it in the ground, and then we can work on training the wisteria. I had to take a little break and get a snack and a drink after wrangling that fern. So I'm feeling rejuvenated and ready. All right, there she is. We've got the plant in the ground, and it looks fantastic there. I'm gonna do a little trimming on the twinberry and on the Himalayan honeysuckle, get some mulch around it, and it'll be happy there. Job, but just enough to make sure that new juniper has plenty of light. Oh my goodness, this garden has so much light in it now. It's kind of strange to see, even though it's a cloudy day. This is just a lot more exposure than I'm used to seeing in here. All right. No time like the present to just get the next thing done. So we're just gonna work right in here, and I'm just going to dig down a little bit more, right up against the base of this lilac, and start growing the wisteria. And I was gonna use this trunk as a guide. I'm almost thinking I might just get a stake so it can be standalone, and if this lilac ends up failing, it won't affect the wisteria. So let me grab a stake, and then we can get to planting. All right, so we've got our stake here fairly centered with the patio deck thing. Now I'm gonna actually, I'm going to dig out a little bit more soil here, and then I'm gonna put compost on the bottom. Actually the bottom of the lilac as well, because I've exposed some of their roots too. Just kind of work it in a little bit. And I'm going to put biotone in the bottom of the hole with the lilac. Go ahead and put some over there. And now we can plant the the wisteria. Oh my goodness. Okay. Just pull the junk off of here. It is definitely ready to be out of its container. I think I bought this for my July blooming perennial for this garden. And so it's been hanging out for a while. It's definitely got some circling roots at the top. Just want to make sure that that doesn't continue. Circling. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna plant it in here, and this side with the more woody stem is the side I'm gonna choose to become my tree, I think. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and plant this up. Take off the price tag. Backfill with compost. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna split the root ball a little bit. manage it. Break it up a little bit in the back. Noticing that this really big root is growing back up into the center. So I just want to help it not circle. Okay. Well, wasn't really my intention, but here we go. What I want to do is I want to put this woody stem right up against this stake, as close as I can. And really easy to do when it's that way, huh? All right. So now we're gonna start training this to be a tree. So in order to do that, I have to remove everything that's not going to be a tree. So if it freaks you out to see things hard pruned, close your eyes. So I'm gonna take this stem off. And I'm going to take this stem off. I'm going to take the name tag off. Grab a couple of plant ties and we will tie this up so we can make it as straight as possible. All right, so I have this stretch tie vinyl plant tie stuff. I'll just use a few pieces of this. Tie it here where it starts to bend a little bit. I'm going to tie it here. Let's tie it at the top first. Tie this one here. And then this is kind of bowing out this direction and I want it to be straight, so tie it right here. And then because we did all that and I want to encourage it to grow up, I'm just gonna cut off some of these. Like that. This one too. Because we want this to be a tree form and encourage it to do some branching. So there we have it. That is how we train a Wisteria standard. I almost feel like I'm gonna also put a tie right there just because I'm seeing some stress. It's really important that it gets a really straight trunk because as it grows and it holds that whole canopy of wisteria vine, it needs to be really strong, and if there's bends and kinks in it, that is potential weakness. If you really wanted a lot of wisteria, you could probably do some cuttings on this. I don't need to do that. All right, I'm gonna save mulching for another day because I have a bunch of mulching to do in another garden space. So I'm just gonna leave this as is for now. It's well watered in. We've got our wisteria tree started. We have our juniper, which you can see through here. Eventually it will get up here, so we'll see this blue tree, which will be really nice because we've got the dark green and the chartreuse green. It'll be nice to have a blue there, and then we'll need to add some sort of red someplace. But it'll just be nice to kind of break it up. And from downstairs as well, there's not really any blue going on. So I'm excited to have added a little blue into the garden today. And I'm excited to see what happens with this wisteria tree, and along with this lilac. I know it seems kind of silly, but it would be fun if that lilac could eventually kind of support some of the canopy that the wisteria will be producing. And depending on how things go, I have seen people create like chicken wire cages at the top to create like this umbrella style for the wisteria to grow on. I've also seen, when I was in Mexico, they had bougainvillea all trained up like trees, and they would have like these umbrella type structures up at the top of the canopy to hold all the weight, or to at least help support a lot of the weight. So once the wisteria gets to the height that I want it to be, then we'll start training the umbrella, drapey umbrella thing happening. But for right now, it's going to be a lot of just training the trunk of the wisteria. And as it grows, we'll take off those lower petiolas so that it's just a solid trunk all the way up to the height that we want it to be. But we want to leave a little bit of foliage on there right now because that's how the plant photosynthesizes and sends energy down to the roots. So it's just kind of like a little babying to do to make this wisteria umbrella that I have in my head. But that is gonna be it for today's video. I decided against transplanting the candy cane or candy corn spirea because as Spencer and I were assessing the area that we were going to plant it in, I remembered where I wanted to put it before, and I need to cut down my escallonia, and it's going to go kind of under one of the underlying branches over there. So I'm just going to wait on that. This was enough. The digging out that fern and putting in that tree was enough work for me. as well as, you know, just the kind of the heartbreak of removing that lilac, and obviously couldn't remove it all. I just couldn't do it. Like I said, right over there, we do have another lilac, so I'm not going to be missing any blooms if this experiment fails. So anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you are celebrating your life, that you're having a happy new moon, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.